What is up, people? Welcome back to Blue Chip Prospect for another top 10 video. Last year I did a top 10 goal scorer video, a top 10 playmaker, and a top 10 defenseman video, but I didn't do a top 10 power forward video. And honestly, I feel like most people who watch these videos already have a good idea of who are the best playmakers and the best defensemen in the draft, but identifying 10 power forward is a different ballgame in my opinion, much more complicated, and you have to step out of the stat line a little bit and identify different habits that makes them power forwards. And to actually get to 10 in this video, I had to stretch the definition of a modern day power forward just a little bit. There are some players that I think some people would expect to be in the list that aren't on this list. Players like Dean Letourneau or Adam Jekko or Eric Smatejko don't really deserve a space in the top 10 at this moment, and I also don't really think they have the power forwards habits, or at least all the power forwards habits. You could argue that a player like Tanner Howe or Marek Vanacker or Tarek Parasak or even Sam O'Reilly all have better power forward game relative to their size than those three in my opinion. But obviously boxing out Adam Jekko or trying to keep him to the outside while he's leaning on you to cut to the net is a different experience than boxing out Tanner Howe, right? So even though they aren't in the top 10, it doesn't mean that they don't have the potential to be future power forward in the NHL. And please take the time to like and subscribe, it helps the channel grow and it's really appreciated. So anyways, let's get the top 10 started. And at number 10, and that is a big time projection, I have Fyodor Avramov, and Avramov is a right shot left winger who stands at 6'3" and weighs in at 190 pounds with plenty of room to grow. In his case, the stats definitely don't stand out, which is going to be a recurring theme in this video, but anyway, sub point per game in the MHL with 44 points in 49 games including 23 goals isn't anything extraordinary, and there isn't that many players with that type of production who actually made it to the NHL, but there are some players like Barabanov and others like Buchnevich were in that ballpark in their respective draft year, so there's hope. Avramov is overall a strong player on the puck who first can use his body and decent agility to cycle the puck and to protect the puck along the board, keeping plays alive, but he also has the power and the skating to beat defenders out wide. Let's not forget that those defenders are MHL defenders though, but he still does it at an impressive pace. He's also borderline violent with some beautiful and devastating hits. I first saw him when I was watching a game of Chernyshov, and Avramov came out of that game with like 3 or 4 points and overall just being the most dominant player on the ice. And in that game there was a first half of the first round talent in Chernyshov, so I came out of it impressed. He's got decent skills, good skating, good vision, an okay shot, and he blocks shot. He's pretty versatile if you ask me, and if you mix that with his frame and violence, that's a player with a chance to play in the NHL and carve a career as a future bottom 6 power forward. And at number 9, I have Carson Wetsch. Wetsch is a right shot right winger who stands at 6'2" and weighs in at 201 pounds, who plays a simple but close to the net type of game. Just like Avramov, his stats don't jump at you with 50 points including 25 goals in 67 games in the WHL, but his game is very projectable to the NHL. I think the biggest debate about Wetsch will be the overall skill level and if it's enough to make it to the NHL. I think yes, but I wouldn't argue with someone who said otherwise. When he has the puck on his stick, he has enough pace and enough skill to make something with it, but it's usually not on his stick for a long time. He plays off of his teammate and would rather read space off the puck and get in a slot for a solid shot on net than be the primary playmaker anyways. And turns out he's excellent at playing in the middle of the ice and utilize the little space given to him. And if he's not hiding behind the defense in the slot for a shot on net, don't look for him anywhere else than in the crease with the goalie. He's always parked there battling for body and stick positioning to bounce on rebounds and deflect shots while making the goalie work like his life depended on it to see the puck. I also like that he has some good and quick hands around the net, catching the puck on the outside and bring it to the inside for a quick shot on net and close. Overall, I like him. At number 8, I have Cole Beaudoin, and some of it is due to the recent U18s. I understood the value of Cole Beaudoin, but I didn't like his game enough for me to have him in my first round until the recent U18s. Outside of the superstars of the tournament, he's the player who stood out the most to me, the one that broke out of his mold a bit and elevated his game. Beaudoin is a 6'2", 201 pounds and plays like a freight train. The stats are okay with 62 points in 67 games including 28 goals, but like the others, they don't jump at you. He's not the best skater out there, but he's really good in puck protection, so he can find the time and the space to make plays, but more often than not, His plays end up very close around the net. He's very heavy on the puck and no one is taking it away from him with a simple stick lift. They'll have to fight with everything that they've got to take it away from him, and he's very strong, so I'd bet on him keeping the puck against most OHLers right now. But outside of the north-south game that he brings to the table and his bowling ball-like physicality and his propensity to use his bowling ball-like physicality to eliminate players, he doesn't stand out as a playmaker or a shooter. He is a complementary player on his line with the capacity to elevate his game and his pace to the one of his line mates and take players out and create space for his line mates. He's no flash, he's all work. That's basically what he is. Essentially a player that helps you win when space gets tighter. And at number 7, I have Julius Miettinen, and Miettinen is a 6'3", 207 pounds left shot center who also plays on the wing sometime. In my opinion, this is where we jump to a different tier of player. To me, Miettinen is clearly a better player with significantly better skills at this moment than the 3 previous players we talked about. But for now, I still have Beaudoin ahead of Miettinen in my overall ranking, if that makes any sense. His game is centered around his power game and the way he uses his body and his reach to extend plays and protect the puck, waiting for better opportunities, but he also has very good skating for his size to beat defenders on the outside or to be first on puck, but also to get to open space and make plays or shoot the puck with some space. While he has all those elements and that size and that frame, I think he also has above average hockey sense to go with it and knows when to make a play with the puck and when to park himself in front of the net. He's not a one-trick pony, and every attributes are at least average or above average in my opinion. I think he needs to show up more consistently, but he's that player that has the potential to jump up this list and end up maybe like in the top 5 in 4 or 5 or 6 years from now. He's smart, he's skilled, he's fast, and he has the frame and the will to play heavy and in traffic, so basically that's my type of combination. To me, he's a bit like Samuel Brandsegg from last year's draft with a lesser shot and a bit less finesse in his game, but a bit more IQ. So in the end, not at all like Brandsegg. At number 6, I have Sasha Boisvert, and this is one that I'm not sure about. There isn't one game this season where I came out of it and thought to myself that Boisvert was a sure shot first rounder. Maybe I just didn't watch the right game because everyone seems so very convinced about his skill level, but one way or another, I have to respect the 36 goals in USHL this season. Boisvert is a 6'2", 179 pound center who can play the game pretty much any way you want it. I don't think he has the current strength to be a power forward or that he has all the habits of one, but I think his versatility as a center, his competitiveness, his skating, and his capacity to play in the middle third of the ice will help him get there. He's one of the players for who I had to stretch the definition of a power forward a little bit, but I do think that he plays hard. He also has the silky mitts to play in traffic and like to shoot from the slot, but other elements like puck battles, cycling the puck, or shielding the puck to extend plays and overall aggressiveness might come later as he gets heavier and stronger. I have doubts and I could basically interchange him with Miettinen, but the hands, the shot, the size, the skating could really help him become a middle 6 modern day power forward in the NHL. And at number 5, I have Yegor Surin, and he's one of those players that just makes you smile whenever you watch him. Surin stands at 6'1" and weighs in at 191 pounds. He's basically the smallest player on this list, but he sure doesn't play like it. Surin makes you think a little bit of Bud Coulson in his draft year with a bottomless motor and in-your-face type of game, but with better skating. The stats are good with 52 points in 42 games in the MHL, and he had a majestic run in the playoff with 23 points in 19 games, again in the MHL. Surin has a little bit of everything in his game. I don't think he's a great handler, but that would be the weakest part of his game in my opinion. He's very physical and he hits an open ice or stem player along the board consistently. He drives the inside on every controlled entries. He skates like a madman to retrieve the puck on a dump. He back checks, he forechecks, he drives the net, he hits everything that moves. He's consistent. Basically every shift the same Surin jumps on the ice. I don't think he has enough vision and puck skills to be a play driving top 6 power forward, but a third line center or a top 6 winger makes a lot of sense for me. He basically played only one KHL game this season and he didn't look out of place in his 12 or so minutes that he played. He's one of my favorite in the draft, but I also think he will become a fan favorite if he makes it to the NHL in any meaningful capacity. And at number 4, I have another Russian player with Igor Chernyshov, and he's one of those players that really has everything to make it as a modern day power forward in the NHL. Chernyshov is a 6'2", 196-pound player with tons of skills and speed. The KHL stats don't jump at you with 4 points in 34 games, but he also had 28 points in 22 games in the MHL, which makes it a little bit more promising. Chernyshov is a I'm going through you type of player more than he is a I'm going around you type of player. He uses speed and his puck skills to get through traffic in the middle of the ice. He plays with a ton of pace and he slides the puck through players and keep moving forward. When he isn't transitioning the puck himself, he follows with speed and drives to the net in a straight line with or without player on his back. He's strong along the board and behind the net. He wins his puck battle. He shields the puck with his body, and he has the ability to create space for himself at any given moment using a quick burst or his hands to create separation and make a play to the net. I could have Chernyshov as high as second on this list, but the 4 points is always a little bit scary. It's not like all of his KHL games were 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. He had decent time on ice considering it's the KHL and he's a draft eligible player, but at the same time, a player like Yurov had 0 points in 21 games in the KHL in his draft year, and look at him today. Anyway, production or not, Chernyshov, he looks like a stud. And at number 3, I have Liam Greentree, and that is another player that I had to stretch the definition of a power forward to fit in. Not exactly to fit in, but to actually have 10 players for the top 10. And why Greentree instead of players like Seneca or any other taller, bigger player? It's because Greentree is one of the best rebound shooters that I've seen this season, and because he consistently makes plays with no space at all, making him a great option to pass from the inside or shoot in the slot since he already has that skill. Greentree is a 6'2", 198 pounds left shooting winger who can do it all except skating with the puck and beat defenders wide. That's not gonna happen, but his play, just like his stats, are very encouraging. He had 90 points and 36 goals in 64 games, being the captain of the Windsor Spitfire, which wasn't a good team to say the least. The recurrent narrative that Captain did everything on his own this season applies to Greentree to an even greater degree and in the OHL, so that's quite impressive. In terms of play, Greentree has become equally good at shooting and passing and making plays through players. He's become an expert at getting the puck through layers with players on him or closing on him, and if he has space, he's going to the low slot for a shot every chance that he gets. So while he isn't a power forward in the purest sense of the term, he does blend certain element of it, and he has the size to make it his game if that is what he wants. He's not the most consistent in effort department, but I wouldn't judge that part of his game too much until he plays important games on a competitive team and see him stop skating on the back check or cheat for offense at the blue line. And at number 2, I have Michael Brandsegg Nygard, and honestly, there's only 3 players in the draft that I think that have a high chance to be a real top 6 modern day power forward in the NHL, and Michael Brandsegg Nygard is one of them. The other 2 are Chernyshov and the number 1 on this list. Michael Brandsegg Nygard is a right shot winger who stands at 6'1" and weighs in at 198 pounds, and he uses every single gram of that body to throw it around and win puck battles. Nygard is the embodiment of playing hard and playing heavy. I don't know if it's a Norwegian thing, but turns out that the most physical player is Norwegian and the most physical defenseman is also Norwegian. So I don't know. Nygard isn't overly skilled, but he plays within his skill set and knows how to get the most of it. Every play seems to be aimed at him finding space in the inside or in the slot to release one of his heavy wrister or one-timer. He uses all kinds of small plays and small passes and give and goes to move the puck to the middle for himself. When he has the puck, it's never for too long. He likes to move the puck around quickly so he can reposition himself off the puck for a better look on net, and when he does keep the puck, he protects the puck hard and really fight to get it back if he somehow loses it. I'm not sure what his production will be in the NHL, but he's a high compete, hard to play against forward with good skills, and he's a type of player that's just as useful without the puck as he is with the puck. And at number 1, and I'm pretty sure that everyone saw this one coming, but it's Cayden Lindstrom, the one and only who's 6'4", 216 pounds, who can skate like the wind, score from in close or from distance with a powerful wrister, or stay close to the net for deflection and rebounds while taking the vision of goalies away, but also has the skills to move through traffic with the puck on his stick and make passes, attracting 2 or 3 players on himself to open space for his teammates. He can make plays with space, or he can make plays with 1 or 2 players on his back. He's strong, he's fast, he's skilled, he can shield the puck and find the space to make a pass under pressure, he can crash the net, he can make passes to the slot. There isn't much he can't do. He's not the best at anything, but he's a multifaceted player who can play the game any way you want it and thrive. He has 27 goals in 32 games, which seems to indicate that he knows how to put the puck in the net, and he's also one of the hardest players to play against in the draft. He's physical and he's strong. His play off the puck in the offensive zone is great, and he has so much potential on and off the puck offensively and defensively. Pretty much a unique profile. I don't think he's staying on the board for a long time in the draft. There's just too much to work with. So there it is. There are some players that I've seen people call power forwards like Iginla or even Seneca, for example, but that would be stretching it a little bit too much for me, so I decided to not include them in my list. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the list or if there are players you think deserve the place in the top 10. But anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.